Good morning, everybody. It's Henry at Blowers and Blowers. How's everybody doing? As you guys saw from yesterday's episode, I just picked up this LT1000 from my friend Mike over at Mike's Lawn Service _ Babylon. Go check him out on Instagram. Tell him Henry sent you. Anyway, as you guys know, he got this from a customer. He mowed the customer's lawn $100 worth. And he gave it to him. His mindset was to get this going so he'd have a lawn tractor to ride around with. However, he realized that lawn tractors don't exactly get fixed overnight. Sometimes it takes many, many episodes and many, many hours and lots of money to replace parts for lawn tractors. Fortunately for me, I do so many lawn tractors that I have parts all over the place. So, and parts that I always use for other tractors. So it works out good for me because I'm well stocked with the inventory of parts, you know. I pretty much have everything you need for a lawn tractor. Very rarely do I actually have to go and buy something, you know, which is great. At the very end of yesterday's episode, we actually got this to turn over. And it went... So I have a feeling that there's still some water in here, you know. As you know, there's some break-in SAE 30 Lucas oil, motor oil in here mixed with about a quart of ATF. ATF they used to use in the olden days where before they do an oil change, they'll dump like a quart of ATF in there, run it for, I don't know, 10, 20, 50 miles or so. And then they'll do an oil change, and at that time, the ATF basically rinses out the entire engine of its sludge, whatever, and then you drain it, and then you can get a nice fresh oil change. So I did the same thing because ATF is sort of a detergent. It'll clean out whatever's in there, sludge, whatever is what I'm worried about. But as for the water, I still want the water to be extracted as well. Kind of amazed that it did turn over yesterday because I'm sure that the intake... Maybe not the intake so much because we've already had it cranking and stuff, right? But there's probably a lot of water in the carburetor, you know? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to remove this carburetor, check out the condition of it. If we can salvage it, I'll clean it and put it back. But I might have to replace it. Another thing that I definitely have to replace is a solenoid, okay? As you know, I haven't had any luck with this solenoid. It appears that the starter works well as the ignition switch, but the solenoid needs to be jumped for it to energize the starter. So I was just looking in my box of parts and I found a 3-post solenoid. That's actually a 4-post solenoid. But this 3-post solenoid, while obviously it's used, right? It was put back into a plastic bag and into my bin of parts. So I have a feeling that I changed it thinking that it was busted, but in reality, that wasn't the reason why it didn't work. So I have a feeling this still might work. But Craftsman makes it so convenient for you to change because it's right here. If you remove the gas tank, access to the solenoid is right there, okay? So since this solenoid is a 4-post solenoid, the stock one, right? It has a separate ground wire that goes from ground from the frame straight to the solenoid tab, the negative tab on the solenoid. So since I'm going to swap this in there, I don't need that negative tab because I don't have one, right? So the ground for this one is going to be just adhering this to the frame. That's your ground. And then I'll just take the positive trigger wire onto the positive trigger wire here. So I'll try it, see if it works. I'm going to zoom in on the area that I'm working on. And I know it's dark. You can sort of see it there, right? There it is right there. Right in the center of your screen is the solenoid. As you can see, it is a 4-post solenoid. Let me point it out to you. So here, this red wire leads to the starter, okay? This other one here, this red wire, the thick one, goes straight to the battery. It has another red wire for the accessories to the ignition switch, right? This white wire here, that also is from the ignition switch. It eventually goes through all the safety switches and then leads itself to the S tab on your ignition switch. When you turn your ignition switch, it energizes 12 volts that go into here. A plunger inside this solenoid moves upward, makes contact with these two right here, and that's what gives the power continuity all the way through to give 12 volts to the starter. So basically the plunger is so old or rusty that it's not moving upwards to make contact with these two, which is how you jump it by just touching these two together, and that will make the engine start. This black wire here is a negative ground, and this ground is attached to the frame somehow. So we're going to remove this, and the ground will just be this 3-post solenoid onto the frame. I'm going to attach this white one here, the trigger, to the trigger tab, and reconnect this to this, that to that. Should be kind of easy. And I say should be. So as you guys saw, what happened was this is the old one, the 4-post one. Took that out, right? And I put this one on, right? The 3-post one. And then the minute I connected the two connectors here, right? The flywheel started turning. So this is already engaged. So this is a bad solenoid. It's bad. So I took another one, brand new, from Stens, right? And I got that from ProPartsDirect.net. They stopped sending me stuff, but I'll still shout them out when they when I use an item that they gave me. So I connected this one, and it didn't work. So then I remembered that I have to engage the brake, the parking brake. So once I connected this, right, and this is a direct replacement. This is a 4-post solenoid, so I just put the black on the black, the trigger wire on the other trigger tab, connected these two, mounted it onto the side of the wall, and here I'm going to use the key now. Look at the flywheel. There you go. So now the solenoid works, key switch, and turns the flywheel. So it took a little bit of doing, but you know, it really was easy. As you saw from time lapse, it only took 42 seconds. In reality, it took about, you know, I mean, if I changed out 3 of them, you know what I mean? So in reality, it only took like 15 minutes, you know? Very cool. In addition, you guys saw, there's Quinn the mailman. And we had a guy who came and he asked me about my Troy build. I guess he saw one of my videos, right? And he says, oh, do you still have the front grill to that Troy built pony? And I'm like, I don't throw anything away, so I probably still have it. It's unmountable because the bottom part of that grill is completely gone. You'd have to fabricate some kind of bracket on there if you want to attach the grill. He's like, well, my grill is completely trash, so whatever, anything is better than what I got. So he drove out like an hour away just to come get it on my driveway. I put it on my driveway, told him to put 20 bucks under my windshield wiper. He was very happy, and he says he loves my videos. See, that kind of blows my mind a little bit, is that I've actually met a lot of people who have watched my videos before. They don't actually remember it's mowers and blowers, but when they see me, they go, you make YouTube videos? And I says, yeah. He goes, I've seen your videos. It's kind of cool, actually. But I'm amazed at how many people I've actually met on Let Go and Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace who said that they've seen my videos, and that's how they search for me for the part, you know? And I'm like, dude, why don't you just comment on the thing? He's like, oh, well, I don't log in, I'm not subscribed, whatever, and it's difficult for me to figure out how to comment. And I'm like, just scroll down. But either way, they find me, they get the parts, you know? So You see, I mean, I was easily just going to throw that thing away, easily. But I just kept it in the back somewhere, and some nut is going to want to buy it. So now, we've got the engine turning. We've got the solenoid replaced. And now it turns and starts the engine through the ignition key as it should. I haven't done anything in terms of bypassing anything yet, so everything is stock. Safety switches still work, for now. So looky here. This has got a fuel solenoid on it, and this is a original NIKKI. You could tell. It says NIKKI on it, and it's original. How bad do you think this carburetor is? I'm disconnecting the fuel solenoid power wire, and basically one black wire is attached to the engine block for ground, and the other one is from switched power from the ignition switch. So once you turn the ignition switch one notch, power goes to this. Theoretically, pulls down the valve so that fuel is not going to flow up to the emulsion tube. But in my experience, that doesn't happen. I mean, then there are people who say, oh man, I've had a fuel solenoid on my machine for 100 years. It's fine. Henry, I don't know what you're talking about, because I've never had a problem with fuel solenoids. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, do you work on like 50 tractors? Have you worked on 50 tractors? Because out of the 50 tractors, maybe 30 of them had fuel solenoids, and out of the 30, 25 are bad. So there you go. You have experience with maybe one and telling me something, but I've experience with at least 50, and that's my experience. So everybody has their own experiences. Go buy Lotto. You've been lucky. Speaking of lucky, my friend Doug from Fearless, I was telling him how lucky he is on getting like almost perfect condition tractors, right? And I says, bro, you should go and buy the lottery. And so he took my advice one day, and he went and bought a scratch off. He won $500. What the fuck? Some people, man, I'm telling you, are so lucky. Well, I guess people say I'm lucky too, because Henry, how do you get so many free tractors? Where I live, you can't get crap. And I understand, it's all demographics, you know, it's where you live, how dense the population is, how affluent they are. If you live in an area that's right in the middle, you know, where they are cheap enough not to pay landscapers, but not poor enough to own their own equipment, you know what I mean? Those people here, that's exactly middle class, you know. I'm a little bit on the north edge, so it's like sort of upper middle class. It's half and half. Half the people do have landscape. Actually, in my area, it's mostly 80% that they do landscapers. Very, very few people do their own lawns. On my block here, before I moved here, everybody had landscapers. But when they watch me with my Black Beauty going up and down my lawn and every weekend, they thought, you know what? If Henry can do it, I can do it too. So now everybody does their own lawn around my area. I guess I saved them some money. Anyway, so I'm going to remove this carburetor, and we're going to check out what's in it, okay? I just thought to myself, I get people who say,
Henry, you never show us what you're doing anymore. You just go with it. You just do hyperlapse, and you don't show us how to remove it.
I'm like, all right, so here we go. You've seen it a million times on my videos, carburetor cleans and removals. 2 7/16 nuts, take off this base, but to remove the base completely, you have to take off this 5/16 over here. And then usually there was one here, but there is none. There's a vent tube over here that's hung up on the bottom, just like twisted and comes off. There's your air filter base right there. This is missing the cover, by the way. See, it has the filter, which is, you know, it's okay, I guess. But you're missing the top cover to this. I actually have a few top covers. So then you got these 5/16 studs, which of course I'm not ready to do yet. Maybe I'll do this. Oh wow, it moves. See, that's not good that it moves like that so easily, because the seal between the intake manifold and this is very, very precise. You know what? Can you guys see this? There's not even a bolt that attaches the intake manifold to the engine block. What the heck? Well, that's not a good seal. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of things wrong with this. Well, I'm going to have to find another bolt. And that's kind of difficult because I don't exactly have intake manifold bolts lying around, you know? But you could see these studs were not even on there very tight at all. And the seal between the carburetor and this intake manifold should be very good. So just remove the studs. 2 seconds. See how usually you have to break the seal? Look, it's just coming off. Okay, you rotate the choke thing like that. It's very rusty. Downward motion to remove the choke. And you got this little tension spring thing. You gotta rotate it this way to just get it out. That's right, Canadian style. Yeah, watch this.
Henry, you just got your hands all dirty.
Well, when you wrench all the time, it's a natural part of life. It's washing your hands like 10 times a day. It's terrible. Hey, look, we're in the age of COVID. You're washing your hands 10, 20 times anyway. You know what I mean?
Henry, shut up and take the bowl off.
Okay. I'm taking the bowl off. Oh boy, could have jabbed my hand. Oh! Holy cow. I've hurt myself before, so I'm using extreme caution. I have jabbed myself that way before. Oh, there we go. That's one.
Don't put your hand there, Henry.
Oh, strip. Oh, stripped. See, if I strip this, Dunsky. Oh! Holy cow. Of course the UPS guy comes now when I needed him yesterday. It's not Frank. Frank's on vacation, I think. Frank just put a Honda engine on his pull behind mower. You know, he has a quad and he pulls this thing with 4 wheels on it. And it's got like 3 blades on it. You put an engine on it. What do they call that? Anyway, he has one of those upstate at his house upstate. I guess UPS makes pretty good money. He's got a house upstate. Anyway, he goes there for the weekends. And his engine blew. It was a Briggs, like 12 or 13, flathead, whatever. And it blew, and he was asking me for engines. And I'm like, bro, I don't have engines myself, man. Anyway, I helped him look for some. He found a Honda one. I think it was like a 15 or something like that. It's got electric start. He's up upstate this weekend putting that Honda engine onto that thing. What do you call that thing? You know what I mean. Brush something or other. Anyway. Alright, I'm going to shut up. Here we go. Let's take a look at the insides. Ooh, what's this orange stuff coming out? Huh. Usually this part comes with it, but it's stuck.
Don't stick that in there, Henry.
Alright. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to get this out.
You're gonna break it, Henry. Don't do that.
But how am I going to get this out then?
Don't do that.
Okay, okay. See, everybody needs their alter ego to tell them not to do something. That's right. Just when I need a very thin screwdriver, I can't find it. Alright, well, you guys get what I'm saying. I have to try to get that out. Okay, I got a tiny little screwdriver. It looks like you can... See? There's a little space there that they've made so that you can do this. There we go. Pry this out slowly, side by side. Do one side, do the other side. Don't just do one side too hard. Here we go. Here we go, yo. There we go, yo. So what's up scenario? Come on, man. This is definitely not a good sign. Look at all the crap coming out. Ooh, grossage. There we go. Hey, it's Thai iced tea. Have you guys ever had Thai iced tea? You know, you guys should be a little bit more cultured, you know. Try some Asian cuisine. Once you've had Thai iced tea, wow, fantastic. Iced tea, really good. Anyway, it looks exactly like that. You know, I am not going to spend any time cleaning this, even though I think it actually might work. I'm going to get another Nikki and put it on. Now, what do you notice about this Nikki? That's right, this Nikki has the curved. Maybe I might have to use it because this has this curved thing, which means that it's drilled out for 15 horsepower and higher and it'll run right. Maybe I should try a Walbro? Maybe I should. So what I'm doing now is, I found another Nikki Carb, original. But this is the one with the straight fuel nozzle that comes out. See? So I know that if I put this carb on, it'll probably surge. So I'm going to keep the body here, and actually the gaskets for this one looks better than this one. However, the bowl is a little bit cleaner, but it has a fuel solenoid on it, which I don't want. You know what? Let's test something else. So here is the fuel solenoid, right, off the original one. I'm going to reconnect this on here. Let's see if it works. I'm going to go and turn the ignition. One click. See? Doesn't work. It's done. Doesn't move. See? Another fuel solenoid messed up. So I don't know what you guys are talking about. Some of you guys are saying, oh no, I never had a problem with my fuel solenoid. Well, look, I'm just showing you right now. Another one bad. What's up with that, man? All right, you know what? So let me try this one. Here, plug this in. This is from the other Nikki carburetor I just found. All right, let's see if this one works. Let's see if the valve goes in and out. Oh, this one doesn't work either. See? Junk. All of them are junk. They all suck. So I'm going to cut this one. Actually, you know what? I'll cut this yucky one for sure. So look, I'm going to blow this out. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to blow it out. I'm going to clean all this. See, there's orange in here. I'm going to blow out all the holes. I'm going to clean this area. Look at right here. It's a blob of goo. Blob of goo covering half of that hole. Yeah, like that's gonna work. You can't even push it in. Oh, push it in. It's like gooey. There we go. Now we're going to have no issues. As you guys can see, I was basically building one good one out of two. The That bowl for some reason wasn't sealing right with that one, so I had to use the original bowl. I had to clean the original bowl, and then I had to take the jet out of the old one and put it in the new one, and then it never fit, so I had to just clean the old one, but I used the, I don't even remember. Anyway, so I think this one's ready to go. This one's clean, all right? I know it doesn't look like it, but it is. Oh, maybe it isn't. You know what? This is the clean one. I don't even remember. I have to put this solenoid in there that has the cut valve. But then I decided to clean out my intake, right? And try to find another screw, because remember I told you it was missing? Well, it's not missing. That's right. It's busted in there. That's why. So I just put crap. I just put some penetrating oil from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. I'm going to get some vice grips. See if I can clamp onto that and successfully remove that bolt. I have to try to find a bolt that looks just like this in my box of bolts. And also, it's so hot outside that my camera stopped during time lapse, so you guys couldn't see me clean the carburetor much. That looks about right, but it's not the same length. Got so many bolts here. I wish I had a better system, but I don't. That's not right either. Well, I'll find one. Close enough. Of course, now the key is to be able to extract this bolt with a pair of vice grips. I don't know. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Of course, I could grind that down into like a flat surface. I think it has to be tighter. And then try it. You know what I mean? Like grind zzz, and then zzz, so that you can really grip it well. But then I compromise the whole thing, you know? Alright, let's see. I'm moving it back and forth. It's not budging. I don't think that's going to work. I tried to use the part with teeth, a lot of teeth. No, it's not gripping. I don't know. How am I going to do this? I'll try to figure it out, fellas. I've never tried this before, but I'm going to try it this time. So look what I did. I screwed a bolt on there, right? A nut, I'm sorry, onto the broken bolt. I'm going to weld that nut onto that bolt and then impact it off. Oh my God, what a complete nightmare. It was completely ridiculous. I spent like 2 hours. Drilled out the hole with a self-tapping screw. Then when I got it about half an inch in, I'm like, golden. I'll just take another screw right in there, you know? What happened? No, I gotta go get complicated. I said, is half an inch enough? Maybe I should drill more. So I took another self-tapping screw with a better, you know, brand new tip. Went in, guess what happened? That's right, that broke. So it got stuck in there. Had a dickens of a time trying to get that out, you know? So I tried to get 2 bolts out today, to no avail. Finally, I used penetrating oil. Let it soak for a while. A couple of neighbors came by, started talking a little bit. Time goes by, on and on and on. My battery dies. It's hotter than hell. I'm sweating my balls off. What a nightmare! Anyway, penetrating oil is amazing. After it's soaked for about an hour, jiggle it, bolt finally comes out. Finally, I said, that's it. I'm not messing with it anymore. Thought about all kinds of crazy ideas, but you know what? Honestly, this thing just has to be solid onto the block, and that's it. So finally, I got a screw, have a hole, impacted it in there with a washer. It's on here tight. This will never come off again. Or at least I'm not going to take this off ever again. Got the rebuilt carburetor in here. As you saw, I pieced 2 Nikkis together to make one. Took the gas tank, took it off, blew it out. Fuel lines are clear. This filter is actually not for a gravity fed. This is actually for a fuel pump type, but just keep it in there. I blew, it goes through. So I'm going to put some gas in here. We're going to see if this thing starts and stays starting and running. So I put some fuel in, and as you can see, it be a leaking. Looks like I'm going to have to change that fuel filter. So I replaced everything. There was leaking going on all over the place, so I just had to change the entire line. That original line was just so brittle and hard. So I've got the right fuel filter on there, and I got a fuel shut off. I just let the fuel go, and it's not leaking. Okay, here it is. Moment of truth. Changed out the solenoid, 2 of them. I'm just going to start it. Choke. All right. That, gentlemen, is a success. Success, I tell you, success. I didn't let it run for long because, as you know, I only have about half a quart of break-in oil in here, and the rest of it is just ATF. So the engine is not protected 100% with the oil. We let it run for a bit, blew stuff out, and ran pretty well. You know, needs some carburetor adjusting and all. But I'm going to let it soak another night. And then tomorrow, I'm going to take off the valve cover and clean that area there and maybe do a valve adjustment. After that, I'm going to do an oil change. And then I think we're good to go. It's not leaking or nothing, you know. So that was a good piece of it today. Change the solenoid out. Change the fuel lines out. Got that bolt back onto the intake manifold. Completely cleaned out that carburetor and made one from 2, right? So now it runs and starts. I'm going to do an oil change tomorrow. Maybe do a valve adjustment tomorrow too. Clean out whatever crap is probably in here. But it started and ran, stayed running. Stokage. Long day today just to deal with, you know, strip bolts and busted bolts in your engine block, you know, and fuel lines, solenoid, you know. I'm telling you, I've been at this for like 5-6 hours. Crazy, right? Anyway, thanks for joining me on today's episode. We'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.